Let's say I'm starting from scratch in 2026. After years of mistakes, wins, and watching how the numbers actually behave in the real world, this is exactly how I would invest step by step, no shortcuts. And this is not about some get rich quick scheme you see on another YouTube channel telling you to buy some scams. This is about building a fortress around your future. And I want to walk you through my exact playbook step by step, because if you get the order of operations right, the rest of the journey gets a whole lot easier. So the very first step I'm going to do before I even think about touching the first $1,000 for an investment is maintain a solid cash reserve in a high yield savings account. And if you have used my FIRE checklist, I am going to assume that you have already completed steps 1 through 5, and that means you've got a budget that actually works. You have a rainy day fund for those small life happen moments, and you're already grabbing the employer match in your 401k, 403b, or TSP. It also means that you are debt free from those high interest credit cards that eat your soul, and you have at least 6 months of essential expenses tucked away in an emergency fund. And now let's talk through this the right way. And because people get excited and pour every single cent into their retirement accounts, but they don't keep enough cash on the side for an actual emergency. And if you have to pull money out of your retirement or your brokerage accounts because life threw you a curveball, you might be forced to sell at the absolute worst time possible. So please don't do that. Personally, I always keep at least 6 months worth of essential expenses covered, and that includes the mortgage, the utilities, the groceries, transportation, and insurance. If I lose my job or the world just goes sideways, I know I can sit tight for half a year without panicking. Now that we've got that safety net firmly in place, let's talk about step 2, which is long-term investments. You have to understand which account is for the long haul and which is for the short term. Most of you here, 401k or 403b or TSP, and you know that's the long-term play. But there are other accounts like the HSA and the Roth IRA that you absolutely need to have on your belt. Remember, the key for 2026 is to hit that 25% savings rate across these accounts. So for the top priority, no questions asked, it's getting that employer match in your 401k, TSP, or 403b. That is a 100% return on your money instantly. If your employer does not offer a match, only then do you move on to the next step, which is invest in a health savings account or HSA. Now, you're probably thinking, wait, isn't that just for medical bills? Yes and no. In reality, only 9% of Americans actually invest their HSA funds, and everyone else is just letting that money sit there like a regular savings account, completely missing out on what I call the quadruple tax advantages. So here's how you do it. You contribute to your HSA with pre-tax dollars, which lowers your taxable income, and the money grows tax-free while it's invested. You can take it out tax-free for qualified medical expenses. And if you contribute directly from your paycheck, you can also dodge FICA taxes, and that's another 6.2% for Social Security and 1.45% for Medicare that you're saving. When you hit 65, you can use this money for Medicare premiums or literally anything you want, because at that point, it basically becomes a traditional IRA. If you don't qualify for an HSA because you don't have a high deductible health plan, no problem. Just move to step 3, which is the Roth IRA. Now, this account gets so much disrespect because people think it's the same as a 401k and completely overlook it. That's why you need to know how it works. You put money in with after-tax dollars from your checking account or savings account, and that money grows tax-free. And when you hit 59.5, you can take every penny out completely tax-free. But here's what makes a Roth IRA really special. You can withdraw what you contributed at any time tax-free and penalty-free because you already pay taxes on it. It's only the earnings you cannot touch until 59.5 without penalties. And get this, everyone is eligible to contribute to a Roth IRA even if you don't have a job, but you're filing your taxes as a married filing jointly, even if you're making too much money and exceed the income limits. You just do what's called a backdoor Roth IRA conversion. It's a completely legal workaround, assuming you don't have money sitting in a traditional IRA. And by the way, I did a whole tutorial on this in another video, so if you want to dive deeper, go ahead and check it out. Now, moving on to the fourth step. After you've handled your employer match, maxed your HSA, and maxed your Roth IRA, you circle back and put more money into your 401k, TSP 403b, or whatever employer-sponsored retirement plan that you've got. And this is where you bring it all together and make sure you're hitting that 25% savings rate when you combine all these contributions. So let's say you're single, making $100,000 a year, your employer match is 5%. So you put in 5%, which is $5,000, and they match another $5,000. You max out your Roth IRA at $7,500 for 2026, and you max out your HSA at $4,400. And add that all up, and you're at 21.9% savings rate. And to hit 25%, you will need to throw another $3,100 for the year into your 401k. Now, let's look at a married couple making $150,000 combined and same 5% employer match and 5% employee contribution to the 401k, and that's $15,000 total. They max out both Roth IRAs at $7,500 each for a total of $15,000. They max their family HSA at $8,750, and that puts them at about a 24% savings rate. And add that 1% more to the 401k, which is $1,500, and they hit 25% savings rate. And I know some of you in the comment section would complain about the $100,000 or the $150,000 example, but even if you make $50,000 or $75,000 a year, start small with 5%, then move up to 10%, then move up again to 15%. Stop complaining about the income examples I'm giving you because you can literally do the math yourself with your current income. And the key is staying consistent and getting your savings rate up. Now, let's shift gears and talk about short-term investments because this is where things get tactical. And you've hit your 25% savings rate with long-term retirement accounts. And now you're thinking, what about money I might need sooner? So here's my personal rule. If you're going to need this money in less than 3 years, keep it in a high yield savings account. Don't expose it to market volatility. I am talking about stuff like a vehicle purchase, a down payment on a house, or a major home repair like a roof replacement. Keep that money safe and liquid. But if you're not planning to touch this money for at least 3 years, open up a taxable brokerage account. And this is perfect for goals like early retirement, as it is the after-tax investment bucket for your FIRE journey. And it is perfect for major purchases that are further down the road. And personally speaking, I've got multiple brokerage accounts myself. One is for early retirement and another for major purchases I'm planning within the next 10 years. And just keep in mind that with a taxable brokerage account, you're going to pay taxes on dividends and capital gains every year, even if you're reinvesting those dividends. Now, here's a real world example that will blow your mind. Most people buy a new car every 3 to 5 years or so, and they finance it, and they take out a car loan and get stuck with a payment. Not me. I invest what that car payment would be into a brokerage account instead. And let's say I set aside $300 a month into a brokerage account earning an 8% average annual return. In 10 years, that's $52,000. Now, check this out. The average new car payment in America right now is about $750 a month. What if you invested that instead? In just 5 years, you would have $52,800. And if you waited the full 10 years, you're looking at $130,000. So don't be the guy with a $750 car payment. Be the weird guy like me who shows up and buys a car with cash. Knowing how your money can grow, think about how this after-tax bucket can fund your early retirement or go on lavish vacations. Maybe you want to purchase a vacation home somewhere near the beach. All right, so you've got your account set up. The next question is, what the hell do you actually invest in? And if you've watched any of my other videos, you know I am a huge fan of index funds. And that's not just something I say on YouTube. It's how I actually started investing my own money. And in fact, the very first index fund I ever bought was an S&P 500 index fund. And if I were starting fresh today, that's exactly where I would begin. And Vanguard has VOO or VFIAX, Fidelity's got FXAIX, and Schwab has SWPPX. And they are all basically the same thing and tracking the S&P 500 index and giving you exposure to the 500 largest companies in the world. If I'm just starting out like I did with my Roth IRA years ago, I'm going all in on an S&P 500 index fund, and I'm not going to try to time the market like how some people are waiting for that AI bubble to burst. But if you're brand new to the world of index funds, you still need to do some research and fully understand where you're putting your money before investing. And once my investment balance hits a certain threshold, let's say $10,000 as an example, then I will start looking at diversifying with other index funds, maybe an international stock index fund, a small cap or mid cap index fund, or something else to spread the risk around. But here's my rule. I want to keep this as simple as possible. I'm not going to overcomplicate it and get stuck in analysis by paralysis, where I'm researching funds for 6 months and never actually invest in anything. Now, if you don't like the S&P 500 because it only tracks 500 US companies, there are other options. You could go with a total world index fund that tracks both US and international stocks, or a US total stock market index fund that gives you exposure to thousands of US stocks, not just 500. Or if you really want to make it simple and never think about it again, just pick a target date retirement fund based on when you plan to retire. It automatically adjusts the risk level as you get older. And it's completely up to your risk tolerance and where you are in life. Now, here's the secret sauce that nobody talks about enough, and that's automation. And once you've got everything set up, you automate it and forget about it. And just go set up your HSA contribution to match your pay period. If you're contributing $4,400 for the year as a single person or $8,750 as a family, break that down per paycheck and set it to auto deduct. And same thing with your Roth IRA, whether it's $7,500 or $8,600 if you're over the age of 50, automate those contributions to match your pay schedule. Plus, make sure your 401k contribution is set to hit the total 25% goal when you combine it with your HSA and Roth IRA with the same examples that I showed you earlier. And one more thing to keep in mind is that you also need to automate the actual investments within those accounts. Your 401k usually invests automatically on your behalf, but your HSA, Roth IRA, and taxable brokerage account, you've got to set that up manually. Now, let me tell you a quick story. In my first year investing in my Roth IRA over 10 years ago, I did not check my account balance once, not one time. I set it, automated it, and completely forgot about it. And that's the power of automation. It removes emotion from the equation, and you're not checking your balance every day, freaking out when the market dips or getting greedy when it rallies. You just keep contributing, keep investing, and let time do its thing. But here's the last piece that's going to separate you from everyone else, and that's financial education. This is not a one and done thing. You don't just set up your accounts, automate everything, and then just stop learning. The best investors I know are constantly educating themselves. They're reading books, listening to podcasts, watching my YouTube videos, and staying informed about what's happening in the markets and the economy. You don't need to become a Wall Street analyst, but you should understand the basics of how money works, how investing works, and how to make smart financial decisions. You can always download my free financial resources at firesuccess.com/resources. And the more you know, the better decisions you'll make. And those better decisions compound over time, just like your investments do. So commit to learning something new about money every single week. Read one article, watch one video, and listen to one podcast episode. Just keep feeding your brain because financial education is the foundation that everything else is built on. So if I were starting fresh in 2026, this is exactly the playbook I would follow and build that cash cushion first. Max out the right accounts in the right order, hit that 25% savings rate, invest in simple index funds. Automate everything and never stop learning. Do this consistently for 10, 20, 30, or 40 years, and you're going to be in a completely different financial position than 99% of people out there. It is not complicated, but it does require discipline. So get out there and make it happen. And this has been another piece of the video, and I hope you got a lot out of it.